Supporting the representative who switched from the Republican Party.
In English with a British woman in Hanoi.
Was it hard?
No, I like it very much. Frankly speaking, I like English a little better than French because I think because the accent, it sounds very musical to the ear, shall we say.
We're doing this interview in Ho Chi Minh City. That's in South Vietnam, where South Vietnam used to be. Why did you move from Hanoi here, and what year did you do that?
The fact is that my husband was a southerner, see? So after the liberation of Hanoi, of Saigon, I'm sorry, in 75, so my husband returned to the South. So 6 months later, I joined him, and the whole family moved into Saigon.
Do you have children?
Yes, I have two, one son and one daughter.
Are they both here?
My son is in the States.
What's he doing there?
He's a painter.
What kind of a painter?
Well, you are the first American I say that. I don't want to talk much about my son.
But is he an artist? Is that the kind of painter you mean?
Well, he likes to become a painter.
Is it sensitive that he's there?
He went there long before. Of his own will. I don't send him. Even I don't want him to go away from the family, but he likes it, so he just left the family and went away.
What's your husband do?
My husband is an engineer, but he has retired now.
And what did he do in the North during the war? Was he in the war?
Yes, he's an engineer in electronics.
Did you have to be an active member of the party in the North to get the job that you had?
No, even now I am not the party member, even now.
Did you have to believe in what you were reading to the GIs? Did you write it yourself?
Yes, I took part in the translation, also doing some of the writing, yes. Of course, we must believe in something.
And what did you, at that time, remember believing strongly in? What did you want to happen?
Well, really speaking, I don't want there is war between the Vietnamese people and the Americans who are sent here to fight the war. So we think it's not right. So I just want GIs to resist this fighting, that they don't take part in the fighting. Of course, it's difficult for them because they are sent by the government, but our work is to make them believe that the war they are fighting is not just. It's against the Vietnamese people. The Vietnamese people want their country to be free, so they should not be here, the American GI.
What year did you retire from being a radio announcer?
Well, from the day I didn't broadcast on the radio anymore, so I worked for the television from 76 until 87, and I also retired.
What had gotten you interested in being in radio and television in the first place?
You mean from the beginning?
From the very beginning. Why did you choose that as a profession?
Well, it's, you know, in 55, I began to work for the radio because at that time I know some English. So I live in Hanoi. I never take part in anything for the revolution, so we say. So I just think that maybe it's useful. I can do some useful things if I participate in some work. And as I know English, so I just volunteered to work for the radio. And the radio at that time, those people come from the jungle, so they just began the program, the English program at that time. So I volunteered to work as an announcer. Of course, I just begin my radio work because I just know English, not much, but gradually with the work, I got the help from foreigners, Australians, who come to help to train me into an announcer.
And they trained you, what, in the 50s, late 50s?
On the job.
On the job, Australians.
Yes.
Have you met any GIs, American GIs, since 1975 and talked about the radio broadcast?
In Saigon, yes.
Do they look you up?
Ex-GI, the ex-GI. One of them is called Jeffrey Clifford. He's a helicopter driver during the war, and after the war, when he returned to the States, he's now a photographer. He made an album of Vietnam for the whole country, and he made some interviews, and he took some photo of me, and he put it in his album, and I got one album from my son, of course.
What hours of the day during the war did you actually broadcast?
Well, we choose the day that we thought would be suitable for the GIs and return from the fighting. So we broadcast at, I think it's mainly at 8 p.m. Saigon time.
How long were your broadcasts?
30-minute program.
What evidence do you have that any GIs listen?
Of course, it's rather hard to get the back feed, but the feedback, I mean, but we know that they are listening. Recently, after the war, I mean, I had a videotape of Good Morning Vietnam.
The movie?
The video. So I know a little bit about the reaction of the GIs. But because, you know, our program serves for a cause, so we believe in that cause, so we continue to broadcast, and we know that certainly, if not all of the GIs, maybe some of them can listen, and as we have a cause to serve, so we just continue the work.
From what location in Hanoi did you actually broadcast?
It's in Hanoi. We broadcast, I think it's in the downtown of Hanoi. But the broadcasting station is outside. And during the bombings, we have several broadcasting stations from many parts of the country.
Did you lose any family in the war, or did you come close to getting bombed yourself?
No, I'm very lucky. No, none of my family was killed during the war.
What was the atmosphere in Hanoi during those years? Can you remember? What was
yes, the first time we heard the siren, the hooter, when there was American plane came to make the first bombing over Hanoi. We were a little bit taken by surprise, a little bit afraid, because we were just working, and just we heard the siren hooted. So everyone, because we were upstairs, so we went downstairs. But just for a little while, and it's over. But you see, when there is alert, even 10 times a day, people become a little bit accustomed to it.
Have you ever been to the United States, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You haven't?
I hope someday in the future I can visit the States.
Do you prefer Hanoi or Saigon if you had the first choice to live? What city?
Well, really speaking, when I left Hanoi to live in Saigon in 76, I am a little bit upset because Hanoi is my native town. I have lived there for a very long time. Everything is very familiar with me. And Saigon is more noisy. Of course, the city is up to date, modern, with many villas. But really speaking, at that time, I prefer to live in Hanoi. Now, as my age is a little bit advanced, I think that the climate of the south is more suitable for me, because in the north the winter is very cold. But from time to time, I prefer the autumn in the north, because here you only have two seasons. It's the dry season and the rain season, and of course the dry season is very hot. But anyhow, I think now I get a little bit accustomed to the south.
After 17 years since the war's ended, what do you think of Americans today?
Frankly speaking, I don't have any enmity for the Americans in general.
Have you met many?
Quite a few of them after the war.
Is there any way to characterize how other friends of yours feel about Americans? I mean, would they be welcome back here?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Why wouldn't there be a bitterness?
Well, let's bygone be bygones. It's you see, it's 92 now, and the war has ended since 76, so it's quite a long time. We shouldn't keep a rancor in our hearts for so long time. It's no good.
Is there any, and I'm going to let you go, you're very kind to spend this time with us. Is there any moment or two during the time that you broadcast as Hanoi Hannah to the GIs that you remember? Any particular broadcast that was more important to you than any of the others?
Yes, of course. Sometimes when the news about the war has some particular things in, sometimes I feel it's more important than the other day also.
Was there any one day that you remember?
No.
What did it feel like that day in 1975 when the last American helicopter took off from the embassy over here? Did you make a special broadcast that day?
Well, we keep informing the listener in general, the Americans, that now the war is coming to an end, so that those who can survive until the day can go home safe and sound. No more war, no more fear about being killed.
Do you miss those days at all?
Do
you miss the days when you were doing radio broadcasting at all?
You mean I remember?
But do you miss them? Do you wish you were still doing them?
Yes, sometimes I feel I miss them, especially when I had to leave Hanoi for the South, because I had been in the radio work for more than 20 years. So I feel very much attached to the radio work. Really speaking, I miss it a lot when I go to the South, because when I go to the South, I work for the television, which is a little bit like the radio, but not actually the radio work. So it's a new field of activity. But I miss a lot the radio work, and many of my friends, my comrades, my colleagues in the radio work. I had cried when I left the radio.
Thank you very much for talking with us.
Before we conclude Saturday's portion of Vietnam Revisited, we'd like to highlight some of Sunday's special programming. We will begin by looking at daily life in Vietnam, 17 years after the war ended. Our coverage includes a tour of the Amur Asian Transit Center and the Tu Du Obstetrics Hospital. We will also meet a gentleman named Lee Bang, who runs the Americas Department at the Vietnamese Foreign Ministry. We also would like to mention a special telephone number you may call to comment on our Vietnam Revisited programming. The number is area code 301-718-0557. That's area code 301-718-0557.
What do you do here?
I'm in the national. No, I work for the foreign company. Its name is Khiếp. It's an English company.
Where did you learn your English?
The university.
University? What did you study?
No, you see, I just speak in English and actually training.
Where were you born?
Pardon?
Where were you born?
I'm born in Vietnam, Hanoi.
In Hanoi? How old are you?
Pardon?
How old are you?
What do you think about? How do you get?
How many years?
Yes. How do you get?
32. More? 40.
No, 38.
38. What's the barber's name?
His name is chương.
Does he always cut your hair? How much does it cost to have your hair cut?
4,000.
4,000? Done? How often do you have to have it cut?
1 week.
Every week? Are all the barber shops on the street like this?
Pardon?
You always get your hair cut on the street?
Yeah.
That's nice.
How long are you?
To learn more about the inner workings of the British House of Commons, you need common sense. This handy viewer's guide offers an overview of the structure and the legislative process behind England's parliamentary form of government. You will also find a